As I stood beneath the vast wooden canopy of the Metropole Parasol in Seville, I was struck by its imposing futuristic presence. Its sweeping, abstract form was unlike anything I had ever seen, almost out of place in this city of rich historical architecture. The question swirled: why this shape? What inspired such a bold, modern structure here? At first glance, it seemed disconnected from Seville's heritage, yet I was curious to discover what deeper narrative might lie within. The answers came as I continued my journey through Spain and Portugal, where I encountered some of the most fascinating architecture I'd ever seen. I came to realize that a building's design is more than just aesthetics or function. It tells a story, a narrative that reflects the culture, history, and even the environment of its surroundings. This is the power of architectural narrative, a concept that becomes clearer as I explored these remarkable cities. One of the most captivating examples of narrative and architecture is Antoni Gaudi's Park Güell in Barcelona. This park feels like a living storybook, a perfect blend of nature and human craftsmanship. As you wander through its curving paths and organic forms, it becomes clear that every stone, every arch, and every mosaic tile was placed with intention. The park begins with a series of natural stone columns that resemble trees, an architectural nod to the organic, blending the man-made with the landscape. Gradually, as you move deeper into the park, you notice the transition from natural to more artificial designs. The room of 100 columns, for example, seems almost otherworldly, as though it emerges from the earth itself. Gaudi's intention was to create a harmonious balance between nature and architecture, where the two coexist, leading visitors through an experience that feels both organic and deliberate. Heading west to Lisbon, we encounter the Museum of Art, Architecture, and Technology, MAT, a strikingly modern building designed by Amanda Levette. At first glance, the building appears as though it's in motion, with its smooth, undulating form resembling a wave cresting towards the shore. This is no coincidence. Mat's design reflects Lisbon's maritime history and its connection to the river, but the narrative doesn't stop there. The building is also covered in traditional Portuguese tiles, a deliberate nod to the country's rich and architectural history. These tiles, combined with the building's futuristic shape, bridge the past and present in a way that is both meaningful and visually striking. It's more than just a museum, it's a reflection of Lisbon itself, rooted in tradition yet constantly moving forward. Speaking of tiles, throughout Portugal you'll find this art form in abundance. Tiles have adorned the country's architecture for centuries, and their use tells a story all its own. During the Moorish period, tiles were a symbol of wealth and status, decorating homes, streets, and public buildings alike. As exploration brought Portugal immense wealth, tiles became even more elaborate, often painted with mythological or historical scenes. Today, these tiles are a cultural emblem, symbolizing a deep connection to the country's history, craftsmanship, and identity. Whether on a centuries-old palace or a modern apartment building, the narrative of Portuguese tiles is one of continuity, an art form passed down through generations, linking the past with the present. Back in Seville, the Metropole Parasol offers a different kind of narrative. At first glance, it's hard to make sense of its sweeping, asymmetrical form, abstract and seemingly disconnected from its surroundings. But this modern marvel is deeply tied to Seville's identity. The structure is inspired by Seville's famous orange trees, with the parasol's canopy mimicking the dense, intertwined branches that provide shade throughout the city. Architect Jürgen Mayer took a traditional element of the landscape and reimagined it in an abstract, contemporary way. Built in 2011, the parasol represents a bold, modern vision for a historical city. It's a reminder that architectural narratives don't always have to be literal. They can be abstract, personal, and even provocative, making us rethink what belongs in a place like Seville. Of course, not all architectural narratives are abstract. Some, like in the Grand Cathedral of Spain, are much more direct. In Toledo's Primate Cathedral of St. Mary, every detail tells a biblical story, from the ornate reliefs depicting scenes from the life of Christ to the statues of saints that line the interior. This cathedral is more than just a place of worship. It's a visual journey through Christian history designed to educate and inspire its visitors. The narrative here is one of devotion and faith, where every stone is a piece of art and contributes to a greater spiritual message. Traveling further south, we come to Granada's Alhambra, a masterpiece of Moorish design where architecture serves both aesthetic and practical purposes. The palace's narrative is deeply connected to the environment, using vernacular design to adapt to the hot, arid climate. Alhambra's courtyards and gardens are more than just beautiful. They serve as natural cooling systems, with pools that evaporate to cool the air and strategically placed plants that provide aromatic, humidified air throughout the palace. This is architecture that responds to its surroundings, creating a comfortable living space and a harmony within the landscape. The Alhambra tells a story of people who understood their environment and used architecture to thrive within it. Finally, back in Barcelona, we find one of Antoni Gaudi's most famous work, Casa Milà. Here, multiple narratives come together. The building's central courtyard serves a functional purpose, allowing for ventilation and natural light, but it's also a visual spectacle. The rooftop sculptures, which act as wind catchers, are also abstract forms that mirror the nearby mountain ranges. Gaudi's narrative blends art, nature, and innovation, creating a structure that is as much a living artwork as it is a home. Throughout Spain and Portugal, architecture tells stories of culture, history, nature, and innovation. From the bold and abstract to the deeply traditional, these buildings are more than just structures. They are narratives woven into the very fabric of their cities, reflecting the past and shaping the future.